HR tech, WorkTech, and investment are transforming the future of work. Are you in the know? Welcome to the WorkTech podcast. Join host George Larocque for expert insights on the trends, M&A activity, and strategies shaping the workplace. Brought to you by oneworktech.com and the Work Defined Podcast Network.
Okay, welcome back to WorkTech, everyone. This is the most exciting episode in a long time. And as you can see, joining us today is Rebecca Carr, CEO of SmartRecruiters. I don't know, Rebecca, is there anything interesting in your world that we can talk about today? Is there anything happening?
You might have heard the intent to be acquired by SAP was announced a couple days back. So Very exciting moment for us.
Congrats. That is exciting. And everybody is talking about it. My email is still lighting up. My, every instant messaging app that I have, it's big news. And I want to dig right in because everybody has been dying to hear from you. And thank you. You're in Costa Rica.
I know. I planned my one family vacation of the entire year at an amazing moment, as you can tell. We squeaked in there with the announcement and then I headed off. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't spending a lot of time talking to people online this week.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for giving WorkTech and giving me some time. I really, I'm honored and I can't wait to share this. So let's start with the timing of the deal. So there's all sorts of stuff happening in the market and in your business and SAP's world. Why now? What made this timing right?
Yeah. I'll start by saying that SmartRecruiters was not focused on being acquired by anyone. I think I'm a product CEO. I invest a lot in products that are going to really provide customers good impact and value. And I was very focused on that. Our team was very focused on that. We saw a real problem space in recruiting recruiting was becoming far too complicated. We were falling away from the vision that so many best of breed vendors had invested in for a long time, that was to make hiring easy. And we saw an opportunity with AI and we're going guns blazing at that, trying to drive some real growth and differentiation in the space. When I first met Dan Beck, one of the things that just stuck out to me was how excited he was about the moment too. He was spending a lot of time with customers, hearing about their challenges in the recruiting space, and he wanted to help them solve that problem. And he saw a solution in SmartRecruiters, which felt like the perfect fit to me. It allowed me the opportunity to keep working and chipping away at that problem and investing more in innovation and change. And I leapt at the opportunity, but I think it sends a real signal to the market in general, which is recruiting is not just sort of an add-on module or a bolt-on to sort of a bigger HR suite.
Yeah.
It is strategic. It is in pain. It does need some real investment. And frankly, it's a great starting point for AI innovation because there's so much opportunity around themes like efficiency, discovery, insight, moving faster, doing more with less. And recruiters are innovators in their own right. They're very eager and willing to try new things. And candidates are leaning into the AI story. I say many times that 58% of candidates that we can see are using AI in the workflow. Why not meet them with tech that's doing the same? So I was excited when Dan and I first met. I think we had a 30-minute call that went to 90 minutes because we were just nerding out a bit on this topic, and I felt like both of us saw the opportunity and wanted to leap forward.
Yeah.
And driving the change.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I tell founders all the time that, exiting, of course you can run a process and go through the blind teaser emails, but that's not strategic and you're not received strategically. And the best acquisitions, the most strategic acquisitions tend to happen a little bit organically. There are shared customers, there are partnerships or relationships that it all begins with a conversation and a story and alignment. And so I'm not surprised to hear you say that. You released Winston earlier this year to, there's a lot of energy behind that. And that was sort of the first point where I think the market got to see this is what they've been working on and this is where they're headed. Do you think that created momentum into this conversation? I guess that is the AI story.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, first and foremost, when you talk about partnering, collaborating with being acquired by a big HCM vendor, like you got to have good fundamentals. And one thing that SmartRecruiters has been very good at is having a great, solid, flexible, global foundation. That in its own right, it was very attractive, I am sure, to SAP. But I think it was the energy and willingness with which we sort of leaned into this AI story and getting aggressive about being on the forefront of that conversation without compromising that foundation that was differentiated. And I think gives us a good platform too to get creative and to experiment and to integrate and to be more agile in the way that we approach the AI problem space. We also were very focused on a very specific ICP, high volume recruitment, with the Winston story as a starting point. And if you look at sort of that SAP SuccessFactors customer base, they're big global multinationals that have both decentralized and centralized hiring workflows. And the fact that we could be an all-in-one platform that served both the foundation and the fundamentals of that, very centralized hiring workflow, but also was layering on this incredible experience and efficiency layer for decentralized at scale was something that I think stood out.
Yeah. So I think a lot of folks think about SAP in our world as, HCM and, SuccessFactors, but they bring a lot to the table, beyond that from a market perspective. What are some of the things that SAP brought to the table other partners maybe couldn't right now?
Well, I'd say for one, to my point on global, when we first started SmartRecruiters, we sort of dropped ourselves into global enterprise, invested a ton in that particular market space, that segment. The fact that we could so quickly then enter the SAP ecosystem and create impact without having to build a lot of new capabilities was very attractive to me, because that meant we could continue to focus on Winston and AI innovation. Have thousands of developers that are working on the AI problem. They have an incredible investment in data intelligence and analytics that is going to allow us to connect the dots across the ecosystem once the transaction closes. These were things that as a product leader, I was like, one of the challenges that recruiting has is that we're so disconnected from all the other employee data in the ecosystem.
Right.
It's hard for us to be truly insightful. We can be insightful as it relates to the recruiting workflow, but as it relates to the employee journey, that full end-to-end candidate journey from the moment you touch the company to the moment you leave, we're sort of cut off at that one point of new hire, and their level of investment in like real insight and data normalization and agentic workflows in the core HR world that could easily connect to the recruiting world that I was building was truly fascinating. I actually did not realize until I started to get to know the SAP team just how much effort and innovation they were putting behind those workflows. And now I see a lot of potential in the future, and one of the reasons why we're excited to sort of get to that closing day and start working with them more intensely.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm with you on where you were previously. I'm not surprised that, given their resources, that they're making that effort, but that's not on my radar. And I think that's just their size and scope, they're executing. But okay, so from another angle, you said somewhere in the press release or the blog, whatever, you said that SmartRecruiters will remain HCM agnostic for now. And so what does that mean? Like what we're also curious, like, what does that mean?
Curious. Well, I'll say this much. Obviously, until we get to the closing day, we are remaining two independent organizations. And so everything's moving forward. But one of the first questions that I had for the SAP team in this process was, what about everyone else? Obviously, you end up being acquired, you align to a core HR vendor. Suddenly you get sucked into that world, and either your innovation or your ability to serve and create value for customers that aren't a part of that ecosystem changes. And it was the fastest answer I think I got in the whole process from Dan. He was like, oh, no. We believe that there's so much opportunity in the recruiting workflow. It is not a bolt-on, as we said. It is in itself a platform that should create great value for candidates around the world. We do want you to continue to serve those other customers. We do want to allow you to keep innovating. And it's for that reason that we are not just acquiring the product, but also the entire team of Smart Recruiters is going into this world. Every single senior executive, every single leader, we call ourselves Smartians.
Yeah.
Smartian around the world is continuing on, is actually staying a Smart Recruiters employee. We are being acquired as an entity and a brand, but we are not integrating into their core stack, at least not for the foreseeable future.
Wow.
Want us to remain focused on innovation. I am sure that post-closing, we will build a great integration to SAP that will leverage so many of the amazing things that they do. But they did want us to come as a unit. They saw talent acquisition expertise in all of us.
Yep.
And relationships with the market that were valuable in helping us understand what the market needed very quickly. And that was part of the package. So Smart Recruiters said that I think the only person that's signing an employment agreement with SAP is me. I have to work for Dan, but everyone else is staying, from my CFO to my CMO to my sales leaders. All those people you think is synergistic, so to speak, in an acquisition are not.
Wow.
It's going to be Smart Recruiters continuing on.
Well, that's good news for everyone. That's always one of the questions. I'm not surprised that you went there before I did, but because a lot of times the people get overlooked in the conversation about the acquisition. And I'm not surprised that, given, knowing you, that you're thinking of them, of the Smartians. And so I know you're in Costa Rica, and I want to get a few more questions out there. I could drill into any of these topics, but one of the things that I have been thinking about is the competitive landscape. And that's another one of the, conversations that's happening. There's so many competitors in the space that, like Paradox is in high volume, you've got Phenom, you've got Eightfold. Then you get into the HCM players like Workday and Oracle, who all have offerings in the TA space. How should they be thinking about this deal? That's probably a fun question for you to answer. What should they be thinking about?
I mean, I think the statement by SAP that recruiting is a strategic, not just module, but platform within the HR world is an important one for them all to take note of, and one that I think they already have. You see great partnerships with some of those core HR vendors and best of breed solutions. You've seen acquisitions done by them. I think one of the things that I have appreciated so much about the incumbent players, let's call it SAP, Workday, Oracle, is they have been investing in their own agility. You are seeing more innovation come out of them, and you're seeing an investment in ecosystem that we haven't seen in over a decade. Right. They are actually opening themselves up to the great technologies that are coming out of HR tech in sort of that startup landscape. You're seeing good integrations there, and I would venture a guess that they'll want to bring some of that revenue into their or under their umbrella, so to speak. And so, do I think that more acquisitions will come? Yeah, I do. I think that they will see great products in the market. They will see an opportunity to use their scale to bring that great value to their global customer bases. And you're going to see them bring some really powerful brands under their scope of ownership. And I think that that's exciting for the best of breed players that have been investing a long time. It's actually, as a best of breed, like standalone vendor over the last couple of years, I don't want to say it's been hard, but the market is changing. There's a lot of volatility. Yep. There's a lot of pressure from prospects and customers to be more efficient, to spend less money, to integrate and put that all in one story is one that transparently we had been hearing for quite a while. And I think that the core HR vendors will want to take advantage of this moment and continue to invest in great products and ecosystem that will allow them to do that, will allow customers to do that very simply. And Smart Recruiters is perhaps one of those examples, but there will be more, in my opinion, and we'll see where it sort of the dominoes fall. But I do think that with a platform like SuccessFactors that now has the power of smart recruiters standing beside it, other core or HCM vendors that have customers looking for that same capability end to end will push those core HR vendors to do something, either through ecosystem or acquisition that will allow them to do so.
Yeah, I'm 1,000% with you. I've been saying for a while that frontline and high volume was going to be one of the big drivers of market consolidation. And to be honest, like it wasn't, we talked about this before, it wasn't shocking to me that this deal happened, but I didn't have smart recruiters in that thought process of being that first domino to fall strategic play that moves the market. But it makes total sense. And I said this in my analysis of the deal, and I don't think people really appreciate it. Like the first full spectrum hiring platform, talent platform just emerged. I know there's work to do. There's integrations and decisions to be made, but I don't think the CFO and the CEO want to bifurcate their knowledge worker, the results that they're getting on the front line and knowledge work. They're going to do it differently, but this is like the first platform that's going to emerge that can actually do it.
And I'll just say that from an AI perspective, it's required to be truly successful.
Yeah.
To be truly successful, you need to have visibility into activity and data through that entire journey. And you need to be able to connect the dots across every point in that journey at any one moment in time. I was speaking at one point with one of the VPs of product from SAP who just was giddy, like me in this moment, at the opportunity that sits in front of us. That is real value that we actually, I would argue, have never seen in the HR tech landscape.
Yeah.
Recruiting has never been this connected with this kind of energy and innovation at the foundation to a core HR platform. It's always just been that other module over there. The reality is when you think about even the amount of candidates that we engage with, 140 million on an annualized basis, like that is good insight. That is good understanding of what's happening in the market, where you need to find people, what they need from you, how you need to develop your business, accelerate it moving forward. And to combine that on top of one of the world's largest companies out there with data and insight and business, like one of the largest business applications in the world, for sure.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of fun as a product. I would have to say, I'm pretty excited about the opportunity. I'm sold, so to speak, on investing in that problem. I've been working in recruiting tech for nearly 17 years. This is a new chapter for us all in a good way.
Yeah.
And so excited about that. Yeah.
I agree. I've taken up a lot of your time. One last question as sort of talking us out. I just want to focus on the customer a little bit. And what do you think the talent acquisition leader, buyer should, you've said a lot of it in this conversation, but maybe the couple of key points they should be focused on based on this deal?
Yeah. I mean, I would have said it even prior to the deal, like the time is now. There's so much opportunity to create momentum in your business starting in the recruiting tech space. And I think for those people that have sort of been hanging back and waiting to see sort of what technology it evolves, how it's adopted, how it's implemented, one of the world's largest companies just said talent acquisition is an important workflow. It requires innovation. And there is so much opportunity here that we're going to make an incredible investment in telling the world that this is where we're going to focus.
Yeah.
So for you as a business leader, how empowering is this moment? You have a great narrative and story around the world sort of drawing its attention to this workflow and going, what an amazing place to start AI innovation in the HR tech space. And not to say that it hasn't been started in other places. Obviously, there's a lot of agentic workflows that exist across the employee life cycle, but you now have your talks track for why AI, why now? Why is it important? What is the market signaling around this workflow? And to go and make that investment, to sort of jump right in, try with one use case in your recruiting tech workflow, see what kind of insight and value that brings, and hopefully you come take a look at SmartRecruiters. Obviously, I'm not no sales pitch there, but it is true. I'm hoping that it creates more energy around this conversation in recruiting tech, and that more people take advantage of it now.
Yeah. Well, look, I want to congratulate you, not just SmartRecruiters, but you, Rebecca, your story. So you'll have to come back when you're back from Costa Rica. Your story is a great one. The time in the industry and coming back to lead product and then becoming the CEO and then making this happen for SmartRecruiters. That CEO journey it has been really amazing to watch. And so congrats to you on this moment and everything it means for you. And thank you. Thanks for being here, taking the time and telling the story here.
No, thank you for having me. And I would love to. Honestly, the rise of the product CEO is here. And what an important moment, too, because there's so much change in front of us. That to see so many I'm one of many actually product CEOs that are sitting in the landscape right now. And it's very exciting for us. I think it should be exciting for the market to see investors and boards go, you know what, in order to grow, in order to create real change, in order to invent the next wave of business applications, we need great product minds. And to get the trust of my board and investors and my team in this moment it meant a lot. And I'm lucky to go now work for a great CPO leader who's been a CEO as well and knows exactly that journey. So it'll be great. It'll be a great next step, and I'm excited. Thank you so much for having me and for putting up with my palm trees.
I'll take palm trees anytime, even over video. Thanks again. Thanks to everybody for watching, or if you're wherever you're listening, and go to the beach, Rebecca.